Paleolithic and Jōmon period. Land bridges when world sea level was lower during the Ice Ages have periodically linked the Japanese archipelago to the Asian continent at Korea in the southwest, Sakhalin in the north, and over the Ryukyu Isles with a land bridge to Taiwan and Sunderland in the south. The earliest firm evidence of human habitation is of early Upper Paleolithic hunter-gatherers from 40,000 years ago, when Japan was separated from the continent. Edge-ground axes dating to 38,000 years ago, found in 224 sites in Honshu and Kyushu, are unlike anything found in neighboring areas of continental Asia, and have been proposed as evidence for the first Homo sapiens in Japan. Watercraft appear to have been in use in this period. 3. Radiocarbon. Dating has shown that the earliest fossils in Japan date back to around 32,000 to 27,000 years ago. For example, in the case of Yamashita Cave 32,100 1000 BP, in Sakatari Cave Cal 31,000. 29,000 BP, 4 in Shirahose Onatabaru Cave C 27,000 BP among others. 5, 6, 7. The Jōmon period of prehistoric Japan spans from about 12,0 BC. 8 in some cases dates as early as 14,500 BC are given. 9 to about 800 BC. 10 Japan was inhabited by a hunter-gatherer culture that reached a considerable degree of sedentism and cultural complexity. The name cord-marked was first applied by the American scholar Edward S. Morse, who discovered shards of pottery in 1877 and subsequently translated it into Japanese as Jōmon. 11 The pottery style characteristic of the first phases of Jōmon culture was decorated by impressing cords into the surface of wet clay. Yayoi period, new technologies and modes of living took over from the Jōmon culture, spreading from northern Kyushu. The date of the change was until recently thought to be around 400 BC, 1314, but radiocarbon evidence suggests a date up to 500 years earlier, between 1000 and 800 BC. 1015 The period was named after a district in Tokyo where a new, unembellished style of pottery was discovered in 1884. Though hunting and foraging continued, the Yayoi period brought a new reliance on agriculture. 15 Bronze and iron weapons and tools were imported from China and Korea. Such tools were later also produced in Japan. 16 The Yayoi period also saw the introduction of weaving and silk production. 17 Glassmaking. 18 And new techniques of woodworking. 15 The Yayoi technologies originated on the Asian mainland. There is debate among scholars as to what extent their spread was accomplished by means of migration or simply a diffusion of ideas, or a combination of both. The migration theory is supported by genetic and linguistic studies. 15 Hanihara Kazurō has suggested that the annual immigrant influx from the continent ranged from 350 to 3019. Modern Japanese are genetically more similar to the Yayoi people than to the Jōmon people, though more so in southern Japan than in the north. Whereas the Ainu bear significant resemblance to the Jōmon people. 20 It took time for the Yayoi people and their descendants to fully displace or intermix with the Jōmon, who continued to exist in northern Honshu until the 8th century AD. 21. The population of Japan began to increase rapidly, perhaps with a tenfold rise over the Jōmon. Calculations of the population size have varied from 1.5 to 4.5 million by the end of the Yayoi. 22 Skeletal remains from the late Jōmon period reveal a deterioration in already poor standards of health and nutrition, in contrast to Yayoi archaeological sites where there are large structures suggestive of grain storehouses. This change was accompanied by an increase in both the stratification of society and tribal warfare, indicated by segregated gravesits and military fortifications. 15 Yoshinogiri site, a large moated village of the period, began to be excavated by archaeologists in the late 1980s. 23. During the Yayoi period, the Yayoi tribes gradually coalesced into a number of kingdoms. The earliest written work of history to mention Japan, the Book of Han, completed around 82 AD. states that Japan, referred to as Wa, was divided into 100 kingdoms. A later Chinese work of history, the Weizhi, states that by 240 AD one powerful kingdom had gained ascendancy over the others. According to the Weizhi, this kingdom was called Yamate, though modern historians continue to debate its location and other aspects of its depiction in the Weizhi. Yamate was said to have been ruled by the female monarch Himiko,